Hey, you're hanging out in the Link Up Lounge. I'm Tiffany Mason.
And I'm Donna Ruppel. Around here, we believe success isn't just about what you know, it's about who you link up with. This is your lounge for turning one link into endless opportunities.
Donna, it blows my mind that the two of us have over 30 years of combined networking experience.
I know! We've built businesses, expanded networks, and created unstoppable momentum, all through the power of strategic connections.
AKA networking. And now we're here to guide you to do the same, starting today.
So let's dive in, connect, and start making moves you didn't even know were possible.
Welcome back to the Link Up Lounge. I'm Tiffany Mason with Virtually You, the boutique podcast management agency. And I'm here with my co-host, Donna Ruppel, your Nocatee real estate expert.
This is your lounge for turning one link into endless opportunities. And today, we're digging into why your own story may be the most powerful marketing tool you have.
That's right. You know the phrase, you're your own ideal client? There's a reason that feels true. Most of us start our businesses because we once had a problem we didn't know how to solve until we did.
And now we're the guide. We help others overcome what we've already been through. That's not just powerful, it's personal. And it's what makes your message resonate, not just with you, but with your clientele, your ideal customer.
So, whether you struggled with burnout, debt, lack of clarity, feeling invisible, the pain that you've lived through is often the spark behind the service that you offer today. I have heard too, and maybe you have, Donna, turn your pain into purpose. You've been there, you've done that, and now it feels rewarding to help someone else find the same relief or success. And you're kind of an expert now. You've likely tried millions of things, right? Like I know you read all these different threads through all the Facebook groups, and you text all your friends that you think are experts about things, and you go on YouTube and all the videos, all the experts, all the shorts, and all the things, that we're inundated with on a daily basis.
Yeah, I love to dive into my research on perplexity as well. So, you got to add that
Yes.
in. Perplexity gives you a lot of answers. You can go down a lot of rabbit holes there.
Yeah. So, after you've explored all that stuff, even if your way doesn't work for your client, you likely have other methods to explore. You probably have followed people for a while. And I love when someone asks if I want to be introduced to other podcast managers. I'm like, yeah. That way, if I can't come up with an answer about something, I have other experts that I can ask that question to or bounce ideas off of. I know my clients have come to me with, some spam emails that they've gotten, or they've come to me with, I want the format to look like this. Have you ever done that before? And I'm like, I really haven't, but I know a couple of people who have. So let me, pick their brain and get back to you. So I think it's valuable that we are using our pain to create purpose, but also, having your back pocket full of other experts also, so you can really help them and save them time.
Yeah. Well, and I think also it helps your client relate to you better. I guess they find more credibility in you when you can share
Yes.
that part of your story. When you're doing that, when you're sharing your part of your own story, your struggle or whatever, you're not just selling, you're really connecting with your client. Your client feels it. They feel the connection. They feel you'll actually get them because you went through the same thing. They're not just hiring an expert. They're trusting someone who has already walked their road, already done all this research, or already tried all these things, and you found a solution that worked for you. So whether it's the same solution or not, the point is that they're kind of trusting in somebody who's already taken this journey that they find themselves on. And so when you share your part of your story where you struggled with whatever, then that's just really helping them to connect with you and find credibility in you. So it's not about selling yourself. It becomes a bond that you guys make. And that's why we talk about in your power statements that we addressed in episode 2 and have a free worksheet about on our website. That we talked about what is the pain point that you solve and how do you connect that to your ideal client? And so that's why, because then it becomes a relatable thing. It gives you instant credibility. That's why. So it's important to share that part of your story.
I think you could not be more correct. I think it allows or offers authenticity. And what you're saying with the connection piece of it, like we do business with people we know, like, and trust. And I will say, I was completely sold to work with Ashley. She's in our group. She's a certified health coach and really knows a lot about like hormones and weight loss and, what's going on in the health world. Anyhow, I remember she and I were working together and I was like, yeah, but Ashley, you don't know what it's like to have extra weight on your body and feel bad about yourself. And she was like, "Oh, but I do." And then she showed me a picture from like, I don't know, 10 or 15 years ago. And I was like, "Oh, okay." And I think it's kind of like misery loves company. Like, I know me personally, I want to work with someone who has it all figured out, but doesn't like quote unquote think they have it all figured out or hasn't had to walk the same path. I mean, I don't know. There's something about connection for me personally in that,
Yeah. Yeah.
and seeing that she had gone through it. And I was like, okay, she gets it. She knows these feelings a little bit then.
For sure. It's just like if you were a coach of a major league or a college sport and you never played the sport before, like that's going to affect your
Right.
credibility, right? And,
Yeah.
it's like we laugh
Hmm.
about that concept, but there are coaches out there at the higher levels that have never played the sport. And that to me just blows my mind. But it's all
Yeah.
about like, how can you really know if you haven't walked in my shoes? So that part of
Right.
sharing your story is so important.
Well, I think like going on with this same vein, if you think about it, did you become a wellness coach after struggling with your own health, a market strategist after being overwhelmed by content, a realtor after being frustrated with the home search? I mean, I know I started offering my editing services because I just fell in love with it, but also could see how small business podcasters would definitely not have time to figure out all the ins and outs of editing and publishing. I mean, it's kind of like a part time job. So I thought of all the hats that they were wearing, and podcast manager seemed like one of the easy ones to outsource. So while it wasn't my pain point, I did hear from potential clients how they just dreamed of someone else doing everything but the recording because obviously they wanted their voice and sharing their expertise. And then once I had published an episode for them, the sheer gratitude made it very rewarding to offer podcast management and just solidified what I already assumed. Plus, I was in the thick of it. I was doing this all the time. I already had a podcast that I had been doing for myself that could show that I knew what I was doing, so I had the credibility in a different way, but I was going through the motions every week and they could see that. And so that also, kind of built proof or built credibility for me and then just kind of assuming what their pain points were and going off of that.
Yeah. I mean, I just think that I know from recording with you that I could never have the time in my schedule to actually do all the behind the scenes stuff. Like, we laugh because we were just having a conversation about where we were going to find time to record. Okay. And, and then the
Uh-huh.
idea of actually editing and publishing and all of the things that go on behind the scenes. I mean, yeah, there's no way. It's definitely one of those things that I see from the outside looking in, you know, yeah, there's no way I would have time for that. So it's valuable that I see the service and all of the things behind the scenes to know the value you bring to the table in your business. So it's just like you mentioned a real estate agent who had a struggle in their own home search and now they became a realtor. What we see a lot is people who become a realtor because they want to be the realtor representing themselves in a purchase. And they haven't done any though before that. They just want to get their real estate
Mm.
license to be able
My
to
gosh.
buy or sell their own home. And it's just funny because I think a lot of times people think, oh, I could easily just rep myself and buy my own home, which you could in a perfect world, sure. But, what you get from an experienced realtor, of course, is that they've already gone through every weird thing in a deal. And so they know how to
Right.
navigate that a little more smoothly
Right.
because they anticipate what could go wrong long before it does. So it's one of those things where it's like every profession has their expertise. And the question is, do you value that as a client, as a customer? Do you value that expertise? And so, as an entrepreneur, when you're talking to somebody, that is the point you want to get across. What is your expertise? What is your pain point that you're going to solve for them? And you have what, 30 seconds when you meet somebody? And
Right.
that's where that power statement comes into play because you're able to summarize and clearly get across what it is that you solve for them, the problem you solve, the pain point you fix in that quick 30-second thing. So backstories are gold, but only if you're intentional about sharing the part that relates to your ideal client's journey.
Well, I don't know about you, but I have lived a dozen versions of myself. I put together this document the other day and I've had like 20 plus jobs because I've just done a bunch of little part time jobs as I've been raising our kids. And really, I think when I started when I was like 12, 13, I think 13 was when I got my first job. Probably against child labor laws, but anyway, and so I was adding them all up, right? And we've done all these different things and then just our life experience, right? So, of all those versions, which one is most relevant to the person that you are trying to help today, AKA your avatar? I always say action brings clarity. So, maybe after getting help with your health is when you realize, like, wait, no, I like helping other people. And then that leads you down a new path. And who knows? That may spark yet another path. So you can keep refining and discovering until you get to that sweet spot till you go, you know what, this is a passion that I have. And I really resonate with this avatar that I've been crafting my marketing materials towards.
I mean, if you're a financial advisor now, maybe the version of you that struggled with money in your 20s is the most powerful one to show your clients. That's the one your clients really need to hear from because they'll see themselves in that story. I mean, how many of us, I'm just picking financial advisor, but how many of us are like, ooh, I don't want to talk to a financial advisor until I have my budget in check and I've got all of my investments squared away. And then I'll talk to them because, we don't
Funny
want them
part
to
is
judge
that's
us.
what they're there for.
Right? I know we all do that. It's like people who are like, I don't want to go to the doctor until I feel better or I've lost weight or I look better. And it's like,
Yeah.
because you only want to present your best self to the service
Mhm.
provider. That's why it's important to be able to share your struggle so that people can relate to you better.
I love when somebody does come to me with their podcast, just like a hot mess, right? And I'm like, okay, we're going to organize it. And then I show them how I use Trello with other clients, and they're like, oh, and I'm like, yeah, we can get this all organized and like a smooth running machine. And I think that that's what we need to look up service providers or, if you're purchasing a product or something. But yeah, look at them as they're there to help to
Right?
get you to that sweet spot. I mean, you don't need to tell your whole life story. Just the chapter that aligns with the transformation that you now help others to achieve. I think the most impactful thing for me in my business was the first time the client was like, okay, what do I need to do to publish the next episode? And I replied, well, it's done. It's live. And she was like, oh my gosh, that was so easy. That's when I really felt solidified in the services that I was offering. That's when I felt aligned with the transformation into podcast management because actually, initially, I was going to do guest placement on podcasts. But I leave that part out and I just focus on the first time that a client experienced my KP3, the value of my services in their business.
Yeah, I mean, that's what makes your brand memorable. It's what makes your content click. And it's really what makes referrals flow because your message will stick in people's minds. So when you are coming up with your marketing strategy, and you mentioned this just minutes ago, Tiffany, but when you're coming up with your marketing strategy, you talked about, your ideal avatar. So for some of you, we've talked about this, I know, before, especially in episode 2, where we talked about power statements. But when you are coming up with your marketing content or you're coming up with your marketing message or your power statement, your introduction, you want to talk to your ideal avatar. And what we mean by that is sort of your ideal customer. What does that person look like? Who is that person? Because the more specific you get in the person you're talking to, the more specific your marketing message will be. And that's what
Right.
you
Like
want.
they identify with what you're saying. Like they go, oh, that's me.
Right. That's what you want. Because if you say, I love to make fun of realtors. If you are a realtor and you're like, I buy and sell homes, I mean, did that make you think of anybody in particular? Probably not,
No.
right? There's no referral that pops into your head and says, oh my God, Sally Sue definitely needs to talk to Donna. No. Okay. But if I said something about a specific person, that's the ideal avatar. Like, the purpose is that I am painting such a narrow picture that it makes that person literally pop into your mind. And you're like, oh
Love it.
my gosh, I know exactly who to refer her to. So a lot of times, your ideal avatar probably looks a lot like you know, because like we said before, your business might have even started from a pain point that you had that you then researched and then you then figured out how to solve. And now you have a business where you're offering to help other people. So your ideal avatar may look a lot like you, right? And I do want to say you can have more than one ideal avatar
Yes.
for your business. You can have more than one.
Mhm.
If you do have more than one, you probably have different statements of introduction depending on who you're talking to, right?
Great point.
So, if I were thinking about me as an ideal avatar, my kids are older. I have 3 amazing children, but they've all left me, okay? They've all gone to college. One of them has graduated from college, and then he left me even more. He moved to Japan, but the other 2 are still in
But then
college,
they come
right?
back for spring break and summer, so,
Yes, the college
you get
ones
reminded
do.
of the chaos.
Yes, 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 and then you yeah, can't wait till they leave again.
Bye.
No, I'm just kidding. Um, but yeah, so in my ideal avatar, I'm thinking of somebody probably in their 40s, 50s, that their kids have grown and flown, and they are now empty nesters, and they look around their big house, and they think, "Why do I need all
Hmm.
this space?" Right? And
Mhm.
maybe it's time to downsize, and maybe it's not right when they go to college. Maybe it's somebody in their mid 50s to early 60s, and their kids literally are done with college. Maybe they've already got relationships or married and whatever, and they're on their own. Those people are looking around going, this house is just ridiculous, right? Like, we could go smaller, less to clean, less to manage, those kind of things, right?
So I would agree with that. I mean, I know that my avatar is basically me. So do you have, I know like realtor, you guys can have cheapers, like, I don't know, 8 different avatars. So do you want to
Right.
share a couple of your avatars or the one that really resonates more with you? Like, I mean, how specific you get with that and what that looks like when you're creating marketing content?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I literally have a list of like 10 avatars, right? So I'll share a couple of them. And again, your message changes based on who you're talking to and what you think their pain point is, or maybe what they've even shared what their pain point is, right? But I definitely have one for empty nesters ready to downsize. I'm looking for couples whose children have moved out and are looking to sell their larger home and buy something more manageable, right? So that may hopefully make you go, oh, you know what? Doug and Sally, their kids are all gone to college and they have a massive house. Maybe they're thinking about downsizing. Or, Molly and Joe mentioned they have a huge house, a huge empty house now. It's so quiet. And they're thinking about maybe going and moving somewhere else, maybe a different part of town, maybe a different city, just downsizing and getting a new place. But then I could have something like, I was in the military, right? So I could have like military families, those undergoing frequent relocations who need quick, efficient service in buying or selling a home as part of their transfer. I know what that's like. You can't deal with a long, drawn out selling period if you've got a
Nope.
PCS, right?
Mhm.
You also have avatars like a newly divorced parent starting fresh, a recently divorced mom with 2 kids searching for a cozy 3-bedroom townhouse in Ponte Vedra with access to top rated schools and nearby daycare facilities. I mean, you can get
Yeah.
super specific with your avatars, as obviously as a realtor you can have a bazillion avatars, but you want to have the go-to one that's in your pocket for whoever you're talking to. Now, if your business doesn't have that many avatars, then really hone in on what are the different messages you can deliver to the avatar that you do have.
That's what I was just thinking. I have
Yeah.
pretty much one. A
Yeah.
small business owner that has a podcast. It got me thinking what you were talking about. There's also maybe a seasonality to an
Mhm.
avatar, right? So, like January, people are like just dying to get their podcast going. So in December would be a great time to start marketing people who want to start a podcast. Have you been thinking about a podcast? Let me help you with that podcast, those kinds of things. And
Yeah.
then I really like to market to people who have kids that are small business owners. Like, summer's coming. What are you going to do with the kids? How are you going to stay consistent with your podcast publishing? How are you going to work that into your summer routine or whatever? And I'm thinking for you, Donna, when we think about these families who are having their kids graduate and then downsizing, maybe August or September is when you start talking to those people like, hey, has everyone flown the coop? Are you looking around and realizing 6 of the 8 rooms that you have in your house aren't even being utilized? You're just using the
Right.
kitchen, the living room, and your bedroom.
Yeah, right.
There could be seasonality to the year too when you think about, how you're speaking to that ideal client. And keep in mind, so you said Sally and Doug. In my head, when I'm creating that content, then I'm always asking myself, does this resonate with Sally and Doug? Do Sally and Doug see this, read this, and go, that's me? So
Mhm.
that's another thing to keep in mind once we've created these avatars. Let's say if you are thinking of, August, September, kids have graduated, they're off to college. And now what does that look like for Sally and Doug? And speak to Sally and Doug. So keep
Yes.
those profiles in mind. Like, I don't know about you, Donna, but I have different GPTs in ChatGPT. And so if I'm speaking to one kind of person, I use that GPT. If I'm speaking to a different kind of avatar, I use that GPT. So that might be
Mm.
another way for you to kind of keep all that content, separated or whatever.
Yeah,
Um,
that's a great idea.
yeah, but consider yourself when you're thinking about, you know, what would make you click on a post? What would make you identify with whatever marketing material you're putting out? Because lots of times your ideal avatar is you.
Yes. Yes, so much of the time because again, you had to figure out how to solve that problem and you're your
Mhm.
most relatable client.
Yep. So once you've identified the story, here's how we're going to tell you guys to use it. You're going to use it in your bio. You're going to add a line about your why somehow in there. And it's probably what could be part of your power statement. If there's something in there, I help business owners because I used to have a business and whatever. Okay. Then in conversation. So when you reference it, when you introduce yourself, I'm Tiffany Mason. I'm with Virtually You. I'm a podcast manager. I help people B to Z after they've recorded it because, oh my gosh, after I started my podcast, it felt like a part time job and I could only imagine what that was like for other business owners. So something like that. And then, of course, in your content. So any of the stories that you tell, be specific and highlight your journey, highlight what will resonate with you.
Yes, you don't have to be dramatic. Just be real, like a simple sentence. Like I
Hmm.
started this business because I used to feel completely overwhelmed by the back end of podcasting. I don't know. I don't know.
Yeah.
Whatever it is. It can be the beginning of a strong connection because now you have exposed sort of a vulnerability that you have the expertise to know how to fix or solve. And so that has immediately opened up their mind to, oh, well, this person could probably help me, And so it's just a simple sentence and it just needs to be real.
Yeah, because there's nothing more dreamy than when you're in the thick of it and someone says, I have all the answers.
Right?
So if you're stuck, ask yourself, what did I need to hear 5 years ago? That's what your ideal client probably needs to hear now. And I know sometimes we get so close to our content and our material that we're like, I don't even know what to talk about. I don't even know. Like, I'm always so afraid of going over people's heads. I'm so afraid of talking too high level, right? So if I think about myself 5 years ago, what was I doing? It makes it real easy to come up with content.
Yes, absolutely. I mean, your past and your past struggles certainly isn't something to hide. It's what makes you credible. It's what makes you relatable. And it's what really makes you trustworthy.
Yep. You were the client once, and now you're the solution. That full circle moment, that's magic.
It is.
Okay, so this week's networking mode on tip is add one sentence about your origin story to your next introduction, whether it's in person, online, or on your website. Let people know why you do what you do. Networking mode on.
Tag us on Instagram at _link up lounge when you share a piece of your story this week. We want to hear the why behind your work. Let's keep building those powerful links together. You've been hanging out in the Link Up Lounge, your lounge for turning one link into endless opportunities.
Now it's your turn. Go make a powerful link today.
Networking mode on.